Cursed be the ground for our sake. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us.
Okay.
For out of the ground we were taken, for the dust we are, and to the dust we shall return. Take him out, goddammit!
Between this movie and the last one, it's been about 7 or 8 years. And in that time period, we've been always trying to find something that, you know, grabbed us.
The script was just amazing. It had all the right ingredients. Everything is broken. The system, the world, the roads, the atmosphere. It is ripe with decay.
The environment was so different, and the story was so different. Visually, it seemed exciting, and also, you have these movies out there that are post-apocalyptic, but this one may be put in that category, but it felt so out of that realm.
We knew we wanted the skies to be a character, you know, and to be saying something and to be moving a certain direction, the same direction that Eli's moving.
It's a very unusual look, as you know, where you've seen a lot of post-apocalyptic movies. They all happen in big cities. This is rural America. All the people in this town, all the people in this world, through most of the movie, have never seen a blade of grass. They've never seen vegetation. It's dry, it's dank, it's dark. Very specific look to this movie, something I've never seen before.
You know, it's the first movie we've done with this many visual effects, and sometimes it's very frustrating because you can't see. So we brought on these artists, you know, Tommy Lee Edwards, Chris Weston, Rodolfo DiMaggio, and these guys are all from the comic book world. And nowadays, a lot of movies are being made from graphic novels and comic books, so we kind of reversed it in a way and said, well, let's get our look together with these guys, and, you know, had one of them do the storyboards, had two of them do the visual kind of layout of the movie, the color template and everything like that. And let's put together a few books that the whole cast and crew can look at and just get the vibe of the movie. And, you know, it's worked from pre-production through post-production.
I work in lots of different mediums, so sometimes I could be drawn with charcoal or working on the computer or working with paint, it doesn't matter. So it depends on what the job calls for. So I go through the script and see in my mind a certain shot and send Albert some ideas, some sketches. Maybe we could shoot it this way, we could shoot it that way. Do we see him from, the front or from behind? And then we just talk about all that stuff, and, we wean it down into the finished piece.
I collaborate with the art department a lot, especially with the guys who've actually sat down and designed the set, and they'll give me all kinds of plans, which I'll refer to when doing my storyboards. Here's a plan of George and Martha's house, and so then when I come to draw the scene that takes place there, the two match up.
We'll get out alive, both of us.
This is a dream job for me because I'm kind of known previously in the comic strip industry for doing sort of gritty, realistic artwork and with a slight air of decadence to it and, decaying matter. And I think that's probably what Albert recognised, in my work. It's probably why he wanted me to be on Book of Eli, because everything in the world of the Book of Eli is falling down or crumbling, or it's not looking too good.
In creating the style books and some of the shot sequences have been really, really informative of how we were going in and adapting any of the sequences for the building or for any of the breakdowns of the sets.
I think after we saw on the set the shots, as compared to what we had prepped, it was very similar.
I'm actually really blown away at how close it looks to what, Albert and I had worked up so long ago, so it's really cool. I love it.
There was a certain look that Albert was going for that I don't think has been done to the extent that we've done in this film. It just makes the world, it brings it to life more.
I think that their take on it was brilliant because it takes something that we've heard of and we've seen before in a society like this, and it brings it to a place that we've never seen before.
Eli is a hero in the traditional movie sense, you know, because he does save one or two people, not on purpose or not because he wanted to, but because he had to, you know.
I think Eli is an archetype character that we've seen. There's a little bit of the wandering monk, you know. We've seen little bits and pieces of it in other movies, but we haven't seen it like this.
I just thought it was an interesting character that was on a mission and was being tested.
Yeah, it was very important to me from the beginning that Eli wasn't like an ex-soldier or a combat vet or somebody that would already have these skills. I really wanted him to be an everyman.
What are you doing?
I think she's fascinated by Eli when she first meets him. There's obviously something about him that she's drawn to. She's never really seen a man like him. And I think she just starts learning from him. And I think that inspires her to, you know, go and do something for herself.
And his desire to protect this book and to do what he's been charged to do, and he's been doing it for so long and shedding a lot of blood to do it.
Don't want any trouble.
I think he gets to a place where his anger, his violence is taken over.
Stop!
Eli's a very peaceful, humble man, and a man of few words. And the only time the violence comes out of him is when he's actually cornered.
Open the pack and tip it out on the road nice and slow.
Can't do that.
You know, when somebody's or several group of people have put him in a position where he has to fight to survive.
All right, we want to do it the hard way.
He obviously learned along the way how to fight, how to use different tools, whether it be gun, bow and arrow, machete. If you pay close attention, you'll see he doesn't really want to use his gun most of the time because the bullets are very scarce. It's about efficiency for him, you know. It's about how to get from here to there in the simplest way.
Part of the influence, the inspiration for the character was looking at the old biblical stories of people who get chosen by God, characters like Job, who get plucked from obscurity and given these incredible hardships.
He's just a man.
To test their faith.
He has a presence and a charisma and a quiet to him. It's steady and it's resolute and it's composed. I've never seen anyone quite like him. But then I've never met anyone quite like Denzel.
From early on, Denzel was a part of the project.
For us, that was the icing on the cake. I mean, to see Denzel play a role like this that you've never seen Denzel Washington play before is just fantastic.
He shed about 50 pounds plus, and that's not to mention the physical training he was doing, and then the fight training he was doing with Jeff Amata. Man, he was doing stuff that I couldn't do. I know I couldn't do.
The preparation for the film was really a lot of fun, just to go to the dojo and train with those guys. I guess we trained for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months before we started shooting. And I had read the script, so I knew I was going to win the fights. So,
working with Denzel has been a great experience. He's a very smart actor, very intelligent, very physical, works hard, wants to be, he's a perfectionist. I mean that's probably why he is where he is today, because he's such a perfectionist, never completely satisfied. Probably has a photographic memory for all I know, because he remembers every detail.
I would say I've never seen anybody prep so hard, you know, work nonstop to get the script right. You know, we'd be over his house for hours, you know, 8, 9, 10 hours, and he just wants to talk about the characters, wants to talk about characters that have nothing to do with him, wants to go back over the other versions of the script, what can we mine out of there.
Denzel, ironically, started working on Carnegie first, and he flushed that character out. He used to always say, the good guy is only as good as the bad guy. It was Denzel's idea for Gary Oldman as well.
I decided to come on as a producer because I wanted to help them, you know, and surrounding them with talent, you know, not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera.
Well, Denzel, for us, not only professionally, but as moviegoers, is one of our best actors. I think there are very few actors who could pull this role off.
He's very method, you know, he totally became this character. And it was quite astonishing, when we were working on the script, he would get up and move around and become Eli in the room, and we got like a little glimpse of how he was going to bring this character to life.
There's one scene where Solara and Eli is sitting by a fire, and he kind of explains to her more or less faith. And in that conversation, she starts understanding how to have faith.
It's hard to explain, but it was like it was coming from inside of me. Initially, he thought his job was to protect this book, not to let anybody touch it, not to let anybody get near it until it gets to where it belongs. And he comes to find out a part of his task is to teach and to share. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me.
That's beautiful.
It's like the older you get, the more you know you don't know anything. He's at a place suddenly in the life of our movie where he's learning a lot.
They both have a goal, a belief, an obsession.
He's on one journey, Denzel's on another, and that's where the collision takes place, and that's where the battle begins.
We are representatives of different, principalities and good and evil, if you will.
One of the main agendas Gary and I both had about the role of Carnegie, which is the bad guy again, was not to make him a cliche bad guy, because he's not a bad guy. He's a guy who does bad things.
Your mother would like you to tell
I don't know.
Show me!
They talk about it's not black and white, it's gray with him. So there are scenes in the movie where you do see humanity come out of Carnegie, and I think that makes it more challenging and more complicated.
He's a smart guy. It comes with philosophy as well.
The two powerful men who are both believers, but I think in the case of Carnegie, he's twisted it somehow into wanting to manipulate the people.
My character, essentially, he's a dictator.
I had imagined that before he started this crusade for this book, that, perhaps he was a kinder person. But this search has made him maniacal and very, very abusive as he feels that his power erodes.
Some of those dictators start off very charismatic and human and moving, and then they cross that line and they do become evil, So this character has a lot of humanity, and that was the thing I think that Gary brought to it that maybe another actor wouldn't have been thinking about.
There's this great competition, if you will, or battle of wills.
And really, it's about how the book for one person can mean good and the book for another could be used for evil. And it's the struggle over how this book will be used that is the centerpiece of the film.
It's not right to keep that book hidden away. It's meant to be shared with others. It's meant to be spread. Isn't that what you want?
With all my heart and soul.
The Bible was interesting because we just wanted the book to, whatever our prop master designed to look, when you saw it, you go, oh, wow, that's a serious book, whatever it is.
Because early on, you're not revealing it's a Bible, and we have this big cross on the cover, so how do we get away from showing that? And then you want to avoid the fact that it's in Braille, so when he has it open, you have to avoid shooting certain angles, and then you want them to have a lock on it so that nobody can access it, so that Carnegie has to struggle with it in the end.
It's open. There.
And there's all these kind of tricks you have to do to not let the audience know what it is in the first kind of 30 minutes. And then the audience does know what it is, and it's okay to show the cover. But it's not okay to show what's inside.
I remember when I first read the script, and when Carnegie makes a speech about how powerful the book is, the hair did stand up on the back of my neck, because I went, wow. It synthesized every sacred text there is, or book there is, how one person could look at it completely different than the other person.
Put a crew together. We're going after him.
For a fucking book. It's not a fucking book. It's a weapon. A weapon aimed right at the hearts and minds of the weak and the desperate. It will give us control of it.
Hitchcock used to always say the MacGuffin is the thing in the briefcase. It could be a bomb, it could be diamonds, it can be $1 million. The audience doesn't care, but you keep cutting to that briefcase, you know, and the urgency's there. Ultimately, it could be any of those, you know, and in our movie, it could be the Torah or the Quran.
In the end, it's important, you know, to the story and what the information is, but it's not. This is not a religious movie. You know, I think this could have very easily been any kind of book of knowledge.
It's about how powerful sacred text and words are. That struck me, like right in the core. And this is about how powerful faith can be, and how much one has to sacrifice to keep one's faith.
I do believe that good movies have implicit messages that don't hit people over the head, but are entwined in the story that people get almost through osmosis. And I think some of our best movies that we've done have a message to them, not overtly, but implicitly. And I think this movie is the case. I think that, you know, there's a line in the movie that sits very strongly with me, which is that Eli makes the comment that in the world before this apocalypse, we took for granted things that we had, and we didn't know how precious they were. It's the great theme of the movie, which is that through belief and faith and perseverance, we're capable of doing anything.